It is the 1st of June 2023, so you know what that means. It's time for another monthly update video in which I will tell you about what we've got coming up in June that you don't want to miss and what you might have missed or might have already seen in May. There will be links if you just click the see more or video description for all the things that I'm referencing. You'll be able to find them quite easily. And both of these are pretty busy months. I always like to begin by highlighting three big things. So without any further ado, here they are. Big thing number one, you're going to want to pay attention to the Study with Sadler Academy. You'll also see this in my social media because I'm going to be bringing out some new classes that you can enroll in. People have been asking, hey, I want to take classes with you. So here is your opportunity. Big thing number two, and this is a double, I have two conferences that I am presenting at in the month of June. One is the American Philosophical Practitioners Association, where I'll be talking about anger management and resources for that. The other is right here in town at Marquette, the Aristotle and Aristotelian Tradition Conference, and I will be presenting on what logos means for Aristotle in terms of human community and communication. And then the third thing, big thing number three, is a little bit more of something fun. So you may have seen the video, or you may not have, for the Banjo Metaphysics t-shirt design. There's a promotion going on. If you like, the sort of work that I do and you want to support by buying merch, I've got a really cool 4-panel design from a famous lecture that I gave where I brought in my long neck banjo to talk about Aristotle's 4 causes in the metaphysics. So those are the big things, and let's talk now about the month of May. May was a long and busy month and a lot of stuff going on. We finished up classes. Now, Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design had finished up in late April, but I still had a student with an incomplete. And Marquette University, where I was teaching a class, didn't finish up until, officially, I think, like the second week of May. And then I had one other student with an incomplete in that as well. So all of my academic teaching is done for the academic year. I'll be picking up in the fall. I also was able to start getting some regular exercise, going back to the gym to do my weight circuit, taking walks around Milwaukee. You may have seen some of the images from that. And I did a lot more writing as well. I published 14 different pieces in my various Medium publications, whether it's Gregory Sadler, PhD, Practical Rationality, or Heavy Metal Philosopher. And we had a lot of events as well. So Philosophers in the Midst of History, we had our in-person session focusing on Bonaventure, talking about the Middle Ages and the Franciscans. We did Worlds of Speculative Fiction and finished up with Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy, looking at Blue Mars in particular. I published the video from the event that happened in April, What is Public Philosophy? A Pluralist Proposal. That was a paper I gave at the Wisconsin Philosophical Association. We also had our Understanding Anger 2.0 session 4, and that was on Homer and the Iliad and anger, not just on the part of Achilles, but Agamemnon and all the other people involved. And then we also had quite a few other events, did our half-hour Hegel sessions. And I had a really interesting interview with David Fideler that you might have seen in the Ideas That Matter series, talking about ancient Stoicism, the Renaissance, and the potential for using Stoicism and the conceptions from the Renaissance for a revival of culture in our present day. I mentioned the Banjo Metaphysics thing. There was a promotion going on that spring, and YouTube were partnering with, and so I participated in that. And there was a nice, you could say, promotion that gave people, 25% off on merch. I'm not quite sure how long that goes for, but you can see a link to it below and in that video. I also did a lot of video work. I produced 3 half-hour Hegel videos, so we've got some momentum going on that. I released 2 of them to the public, all 3 to Patreon supporters. I did a meme roundup video since people were constantly sending them to me. We also published 2 of the Wisdom for Life shows, the video recordings of the radio sessions. And I did some storytelling as well. So numbers 42 and 43, you can see those linked to as well. And I also started shooting a series, very excited about this, on Philip K. Dick's The Man in the High Castle in the Speculative Fiction studies. And I've released 2 of them so far. And we've got many more yet to come because there's an awful lot to explore in that great work. Now, when it comes to podcast stuff, we finished up with Lactantius's on the anger of God. We went through the Cynic epistles that are attributed to Crates, third scholarch of the Cynic school. And then we've been doing a lot of Seneca. So I've been releasing podcast episodes on Seneca's on anger, primarily book 2. And we just started on Shortness of Life, which is another great Senecan work. So that's all the stuff that's been going on in the month of May. What do we have coming up in June? So I'm going to run through the events, and if you're interested in any of these, you'll see links to them for the most part, unless there's something that I still have to create. So we kick off the month this Saturday with our usual AMA, that's Ask Me Anything session. So that's on Saturday, June 3rd at noon Central Time. I should mention all of the times that I'm giving here Central Time, so if you're in a different time zone, make sure to check it. AMA, that's Ask Me Anything. Usually people ask me about philosophy, but also about personal matters, about music, about the city that I live in, and other things as well. Following that, at 2 p.m. on the 3rd, we have our philosophy chat for Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a supporter, there's a link below that you can follow. It's a great way to show some gratitude and help me out. Every little bit helps, as they say. The next day, on the 4th at 11 a.m., we'll be having storytelling, or story time rather, with Sadler, and I will be doing a live reading and then discussing a really great story by Robert Bloch called That Hellbound Train, one of my favorites of all time. I read it as a kid and I was captivated by it since. It's about a guy who makes a deal with the devil and actually comes out on the winning side. On the 10th at noon Central Time, we'll have our Worlds of Speculative Fiction series. And this time we're going back to C.J. Chera's amazing Alliance Union universe, looking at the Merchanter novels. It's been such a joy to reread these. And I've been, preparing the video for it. And so that should be a lot of fun. We start out with a video premiere and live chat, and then we move to a Zoom session. On the 14th at 5 p.m., we'll have our Hegel Q&A and discussion underwritten by Patreon supporters of the Half Hour Hegel Project. So if you've got questions, confusions, need clarifications about Hegel or German idealism, show up and we'll chat. On the 17th, I will be presenting at the all-day-long American Philosophical Practitioners Association member meeting, talking about resources for anger management, primarily in ancient philosophy, but also in others as well. And now you have to become a member in order to get access to that, but I'm going to see if they'll let me record it or not. On the 21st, which is a Wednesday, I will be presenting here in town my paper about Aristotle and the meaning of logos, starting from Politics, Book 1, going through into a bunch of other Aristotelian texts. And I will be going pretty much to the entire conference, lasting from Monday the 19th to Wednesday the 24th or 21st. It's always a really great occasion for hearing papers not just about Aristotle, but the entire Aristotelian tradition. On the 24th, open to everybody, but you have to sign up for the class, the free online class. We will be having our Understanding Anger 2.0 class session. This time, we just did Homer last time. It's going to be about Hesiod, another one of the absolutely centrally important Greek poets. We're going to be looking at anger and conflict in Works and Days and in the Theogony. On the 25th, that's the next day, a Sunday, at noon Central Time, we'll be having our self-directed study advice video. Again, video premiere with live chat, and I will be discussing my advice for studying David Hume's works on your own. So if you're a big fan of Hume, or you actually just want to know where would I start, you want to show up for that. Then finally, another local event here in town on the 30th at 6 p.m. at the Women's Club of Wisconsin. We'll be doing another Philosophy Eats, where we have a dinner and I just bring up a topic and have some handouts for people. And we'll be looking at the philosophy of friendship, which, by the way, I am getting ready to teach a class about. You notice I mentioned classes in the Study with Sadler Academy. You'll see some announcements about that later on in the month, so stay tuned for that. Before I launch into what we're doing as far as video work, I'll say this. So June is a pretty important time here in Milwaukee. We have the world's largest music festival, Summerfest, here, and that's been going on for more than 50 years. And my oldest kid and I are going to be seeing Queensryche and Vixen and probably the hind end of Autograph, because frankly, we're only interested in one song. And then before that, though, my wife and I are taking a trip out to Ohio, where we are going to see The Cure. This is a big deal. I've never seen them. She's never seen them. And we had to enter a lottery to get the tickets. So that's going to be cool. I'm going to be doing a lot of writing this month, so you'll see things coming out in Medium. Also working on 2 different book projects, one on Epictetus, the commentary stuff on Enchiridion, but another, I'm working on a textbook for one of my fall classes, Ethics for Artists and Designers. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right, video work. What am I going to be shooting? Obviously more half-hour Hegel videos. I've got a couple people lined up for the Ideas That Matter conversation videos, the interview things, including my good friend Scott Terulli, and most likely my wife and partner, Andy Shaka, and maybe some other people as well. I'll be doing some personal videos and doing some of the long overdue book reviews that I need to get to that I didn't get to this month. And you'll see a lot more videos on Philip K. Dick's Man in the High Castle. I should be able to get through the entire series this month, I think. And I'll be doing a lot more shorts, YouTube short videos that people seem to like. And if I have the time, I'll do some core concept videos on Aquinas's 5 ways. And that's already a lot of stuff, in addition to all the event videos. Podcast stuff, we've got, we started with Seneca's On the Shortness of Life, and then we'll come back to book 3 of his On Anger. And then once we've finished up with the Seneca stuff, we can go to another great Stoic, Marcus Aurelius. And I shot a whole bunch of videos on his meditations. We'll be taking those and turning them into podcast episodes as well. So there you have it. A lot of stuff going on in June that hopefully you want to get in on. A lot of stuff that happened in May that you might find interesting. So I hope you can join me for some of these online events. If you're here in person in the Milwaukee area, maybe come to some of the local things if you want to as well. And I hope you have a great month ahead. Summer is beginning for all of us, which is a a very fun time here in the Milwaukee area. So you'll see lots of pictures of my walks and things like that. So that's all from me, folks. As I mentioned, if you want to know more about any of these things, links are below. You just got to click show more or video description and they'll pop up. And I will see you somewhere in the ether.